Morning, everybody. Do a quick video this morning. I've been uh, I've been catching back up again. I was I was ignoring the outside world for a while, I guess. I watched a little bit, I guess, but it's crazy. And it's crazy. Yeah, I know. I got a different setup here. Broke the old recliner out. Oh, that other chair. That other chair was killing my back. It was just killing me. And that's no good. But show y'all something real quick. Let me. I did have some things ready, use guys. I did. Yeah, I got it right there. I don't know how many of y'all have watched Days of Noah's newest deal, but this chart right here, I thought was crazy. This is their plan going forward, guys. This is their plan. They've been doing these papers. They've been doing these whole outlines of the future, and they're serious. Alex was in here, and I just asked her. I said, "Well, are you gonna go transhuman? Are you gonna have sensing implants and biomarkers put in? You know, are you gonna be using, where is the external neural interfaces? You know, will you be using their technology for 3D bioprinting, genetic, somatic modification?" Crazy. It's just crazy. They're serious, man. They are serious. And what's crazy is that there's no way to really change it. You know, how do you change it? What do you do? Because they've got all the seats of powers. They've got all the institutions. They own these companies, and I saw it. I saw it coming 20 years ago when every little new fun game that came out, every new app that came out, all these big companies were buying them up. We'll give you $1 million for that app. Well, who wouldn't do that? This guy did it in his garage, right? He's like, "Hey, we're rich, honey. They gave me $1 million." Well, they bought up all the apps, and now they control it all. There's nobody out there that can go, "Hey, I own that app. Quit using it that way." Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. It's getting, wow, it's freaky. Wake and bake with you guys. I replenished yesterday, thank God. But yeah, it's coming, guys. It is coming. Just, and like that chart says, there'll be it'll be like the smart clothing, things like that is where they'll start. People are gonna love it. People are gonna love that shit. Oh yeah, yeah. They're already. In this video he's showing this and it's South Korea. South Korea is a huge part of this whole thing going forward because they are so programmable. They're really, really programmed like Chinese. We don't, and I don't think we ever will, the everyday person understand. 7, stop. We'll never understand the Asian mentality of how they see things and how they're raised. Hang on a sec. Spoiled princess. But the Asian culture, totally different than us. And in their societies, man, look at China. Look how they do. As far as we know, there's been pushback from the Chinese on their leadership for a long time, but they never win. They always lose. They always lose. And so at this point in history, they've pretty much gotten in line. And, you know, when you do, what would this be? Like the 5th generation under communist rule. Like they say in North Korea, if you get in trouble for going against the government, then next 2 generations are punished too. So you know that going in, when you get popped by the government, then your sons and daughters and your grandchildren are going to go to prison too. That's the way they do it. Go ahead, do whatever you want, but you get caught. Next 3 generations. Done. That's from what I understand. And in the West, we've been just going right along with them. We've just been slowly, they've been getting us. They've been getting us with 1,000 paper cuts. Just been slowly turning the screws. Slowly turning. Oh, back it off a little bit. A little more down. Oh, back off a little. They've just been doing it my whole life. I honestly can't think of anything other than technology that has improved in my lifetime. Education hasn't, healthcare hasn't. I mean, there's been technological advances, but as many people now are sick and dying as ever. I mean, there's no pharmaceuticals or anything that's come out that went, fix that. We fix that. No, we can go in there with some pretty cool equipment and extract shit out of you and mend things and fix things a little bit, but we can't cure nothing. Zero. Nada. And I don't even think they claim that anymore. I think their go-to word now is treatment. Take your daily treatment. Have your daily treatments. Have your treatment, and you'll feel better. Oh, it won't go away, but you'll feel better. And man, I am right in there with the, I don't know if y'all seen the people losing their minds now that the CDC has come out and just totally reversed all those recommendations for the jabitas. Just wow. Everything we said from the jump, they've now come out going, yeah, you don't have to wear a mask. Yeah. And the unjabbed, they're okay. They're safe. And, the people who did take it, yeah, they're more susceptible to getting it again. True. But we were going with the best information we had. We didn't know what to do at the time. Those are the people that drive me crazy. The ones that defend the government and the CDC and everything, going, it was a crazy time. We never been in that before. We didn't know what to do. Bullshit. Every winter we have a flu outbreak. And before the flu outbreak, the pharmaceutical company, they roll some dice and go, okay, we're going to put out strain A. Do we know if it's going to do any good? No, we don't have any idea. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try and put out a medication that'll combat strain A or B, or, they just blind guess each year of what they're going to put out for a flu treatment or vaccine. What's the flu shot going to be? And they just pick, right? And the numbers every year, go back and look them up for flu and respiratory problems in winter. It's always 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. Lots of people, die every year from flus and pneumonias, and all of a sudden they're like, we don't know what to do. Everybody stay home. Close your businesses. Let's see, what are we gonna do? Put on a mask. We're gonna get you a shot. We're gonna get a shot. I think we can find a shot for this. Ow. And so many people went, oh, okay, I'll stay right here. Why? Then my screen just go black. Oh, it's back. That was weird. I had my deal up right here. Just went black. But it's like, they hammered. And then now they're going, oh, hey, we've changed things. We've changed. And you're welcome to move about freely now. Yeah, no more screening. Boy, that drove me. Hey, Fractal. Yeah, I mean, they're not. They do tell us, though. They do tell us, for people like Days of Noah who do the deep dives and go find those white papers. And they go find these studies these people are doing. And they tell us. But average day people are not going to read that stuff. And the people in the inform are not going to tell us. A few people are trying to tell us, but not those positions of authority that people will listen to. I'm really into thinking of everything I eat. Right. You lost 60 pounds? Whoa, Fractal. Nice. But yeah, that's what they should have been teaching us since we were little bitty. Everything you put in your mouth goes in your body and affects something. Something in your body either needs it or is going to reject it. And here are the things that have the most benefits. These are the things that have the least. Your body will reject these. These will make you feel bad. These will make you gain weight. These will make you diabetic. It's your choice, but this is what will do it. And in my lifetime, how many times have they changed the freaking food pyramid? How hard is that? Wow. That's one of the things that really got me, was they told me my whole life this bread pyramid and stuff, okay, meats, vegetables, boom, grains, and now they flipped it. It's going, no, it's the opposite. Wow. What are y'all doing to us? What are you doing? We for the longest time have been getting used to these GMOs. We've been getting used to these unhealthy options for convenience. I mean, the fast food restaurant and that business model has to be from the devil, because how else? I mean, what a brilliant idea. Have somebody stay in their vehicle and just drive through around a building. Somebody opens a window and gives you some of the worst food for you ever, like that. if they had to sit down like you do in a fancy steakhouse and it take an hour to get your food and stuff, people wouldn't eat fast food. People would be like, look, if I'm gonna wait this long, I'm gonna get a steak. Yeah, from what I understand, Days of Noah graduated from Stanford. I think he's got access to this information, and he gets a link where he can go look at this stuff. Hey, Ella, do you want to come on and chat for a minute? I'll put the link in. Hadn't talked to you in a while. Up to you. There's the link if you want to come in. Right. For sure, Fractal. Well, I appreciate that, Al. You are in mine also. Okay, you got plenty of time, but we going forward. In my lifetime, I saw all this stuff come to fruition. When I was a kid in our town, what did we have? We had like Burger Chef, and we had, what was that taco place called? These were all smaller. They didn't have drive-throughs, nothing like that. You had to go in. What all did we have? We had Wagon Wheel. You go get a burger, and Dairy Queens. But that was about it. And now you drive down my hometown's main street there, and you have McDonald's and Wendy's and Taco Bell, and boom, everybody. Sonic. I mean, just blah. They're everywhere. And that food, think about that. They're poisoning a lot of people on a daily basis. That that scale, they couldn't have hoped for better. I'll have to go back and take a look. But just since I got into the medical field in 1990, let me think, there's probably been hospitalists, infectious disease doctors, let me think what else. A couple of subgroups in cancer, right? But since 1990, since I got in the medical field, they've added 3 or 4 positions in the medical field for doctors. There used to not be what's called a hospitalist. In about 10 years, those guys just emerged out of nowhere. And for Kathy and I, the best we can decipher is that the doctors and the medical association over those 10 or 15 years were talking about, hey, I really don't like coming in at 11 o'clock at night to see one of my patients that's just been admitted. Can we have a doctor on site that just sees all those patients till we get there tomorrow? And somebody went, okay. And so the hospitalist was born. And now these guys are on site 24/7. And somebody needs to be admitted, the hospitalist goes and sees them and goes, yeah, let's call what do they need? Who do they need? A gastroenterologist, cardiologist. And so they write in their chart, this guy's going to need to see him. If it's emergent, of course, the on-call, whoever he is, specialist has to come. But they've worked themselves a system where there's somebody on call for each specialty every day. But the hospitalist sees these people 99% of the time, but they still get paid for being on call. And they still get paid when they come see that patient. And it's one of those deals. where doctors work themselves out such a niche in every little subcategory. Like when I first started, CRNAs were just starting to get some traction. And when I worked in Midland, the CRNAs all got together. There were a couple of them that were real good as any doctor. They got together and went, look, they need us. They need us. So they united, man, and went, look, we're an entity to ourselves. And they went to each surgeon and went, hey, do you want me to do your cases? Because if I do your surgeries, your patients get charged less, you get more money, and they get the same care. All right, Fractal. But there's Ella. Good morning, young lady.
Hey, g'day. How you going?
I couldn't be better. Honestly, all is going well here on this home front. I'm blessed, and I hate to brag about it, but it's going well.
That's good. That's good. That's what you want to hear from your friends.
Right. And I saw your messages on Allensdale yesterday and stuff. Sorry about your dad. Did he break anything when he fell?
No, I thought he might have broken his hip blade and his massive bruise. He had jeans on, but he's.
Right.
And then he had another fall yesterday. We were going to just on Monday afternoon. He just hasn't got his colour. His colour is really off. The colour's what it's really like before he had pacemaker put in.
Right, getting anemic. You're breaking up. I said you were breaking up there a little bit.
Yeah, the reception's bad tonight. I don't know why. I've had a lot of internet problems.
Yeah, it just seems like when you get further away. It seemed like when you got further away from your microphone, it kind of broke up.
Yeah, the phone's flat, but I'll plug the headphones in. Sorry about that. Hang on. I'll plug them in. I've got like 25%. I'm trying to charge it.
Oh, right.
Is that like the sound better? I'll plug the headphones in. Hello, Ashley and Fractional Dust Bear. Fractional Dust Bear sending a message that down on the Gold Coast, which would be lovely to catch up and have a chat and meet. So we're going to do that. We just have to arrange it. So, yeah. Hang on, I'm just putting my headphones in.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you have an iPhone or not, but I think one of the dumbest things they ever did with these stupid iPhones.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
The charger port is your headphone port. So if you want to listen to headphones, you can't charge your phone.
Yeah.
And that's one of the dumbest things.
Yeah, but it's so frustrating. Unless you do wireless charging.
Right.
That's the only way you can really do it.
Yeah, I just got this phone.
Sorry, but Fractional Dust.
Yeah, not long
what
ago.
have you got?
An iPhone 10.
What model is it?
It's a 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's the same way. I mean, they got rid of the thumb deal, which I used the thumb deal in my old one to open, and this one, it's totally different now. They changed it up a lot.
Yeah. I got one of them. Would you believe it? I've got 6 iPhones. I own 6 iPhones. 4 of them are in my safe and broken. I cannot use them. And for me to repair them, like to get a new screen, and the glass back is broken, and one of them costs like each time I go repair them, it's cheaper to buy a new phone. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just disgusted with Apple that the cost is so high. Even my iPad, it's not even 12 months old, right? And my iPad's broken. And they told me it was going to cost $420 to replace the glass. And I said, you're joking, it only cost me $480. And then I've got 5 iPods I got from the tip shop on a Saturday morning. They were handed in from the rail lost property. And I saw them there. I didn't know what condition they were in, but I just grabbed them. They were $5 each. and they all work. They're not a problem with them, and the battery's fine in them. It's the older ones that just holds the battery, and the battery's perfect in them. So some of them are big and they have 5,000 songs on them, and other ones have, smaller. But I haven't been listening to music much for the last 3 years. I've just gone off it. I haven't even
I
picked
never
up.
had an iPod. I've
Pardon?
never had one. I've never had an
Oh,
iPod.
really?
Yeah,
Mm.
never got into it.
Okay.
If I could put it on my phone and listen to it or the radio, I never got into those. My kids had them a couple of times, but
Well, they've
they
actually.
kind of,
they didn't really care for
Sorry.
them.
Yeah, well, they've actually stopped production of the iPhone due to chips, and people actually use their like the iPods. They're stopping production because people use the iPhones more than the iPods now. So, and with chip shortages, they're gonna like the iPods now. I bought my daughter one last year for her birthday, and it's exactly the same as the iPhone 8, like that you were talking about with the thumb thing in the middle. And the only difference is you can't put a SIM card in it. That's the only difference. It's exactly the same. And all these phones, right, from the iPhone XR to the iPhone 12, have all the same internals. They're all the same. It's just the iPhone 12 changed.
Right.
It's unreal. And then I got an iPhone. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got an iPhone 11 Pro for my daughter. And then 12 months later, she turned around when the new one come out, the 13 come out. She had to have a new phone, keeping up with the Joneses, a status symbol. So I put my broken phone in the safe, and I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro. And then I bought an iPhone 13, just not a Pro, but an iPhone 13. It's the same size as the iPhone 10 and XRs. And the only difference is it's got metal around the sides and it's blue. And she wanted it, right? So she had to come and get it. She took it, had it for 3 weeks, and then she decided she's going to get an iPhone 13. So she's had 3 phones in the last 3 years because of these new releases, and has to have the latest phone. And and the cost, mate, yeah.
Oh, they're crazy. They're crazy. Like, remember 15, probably been 15 years ago when Apple, it leaked out that Apple was slowing down older phones. So people would buy.
Yep.
Every
and
one
they
of their commercials
still do it.
was like, look how quick it is. Boom, 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 boom. Look how fast this is. Oh, wow. I love that phone. That's amazing. It's like, oh my.
You know why they actually slowed it down? There was a big report done about it. The Australian government did an investigation into it. What it was about was the apps and GPS running in the background. And their excuse was if someone got lost their phone, they need to be able to run the.
You're breaking up again. Have we lost you?
They did was your battery would be 100%, but then COVID stuff was not.
You're breaking up real bad. You're going to have to say all that over again. We ain't hearing you.
Mobile phones for
Ella, you gotta start over. We can't hear you. You keep coming in and out. Your signal has diminished as we've been on air. I don't know if you can hear me. So, yep, when you kick back in. But like we're saying about the phones and what they did with them, that was evil, man. Because I had one of those phones and it did, man. It started slowing down. Anything you tried to open on that phone, whether it was contacts or the internet, it was just, oh my God.
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, sorry. What was happening was the printer kept taking the Wi-Fi and kicking the Wi-Fi off, and then it was running off the 4G, and the 4G was pretty poor. But yeah, what they did is they took 20% of the battery in, I think it was like 2013 or 2014, right, for GPS location for Find My Phone. So that it, you know, the phone would be off and flat, but it would actually have 20%. And they said it was like for emergencies and everything else. And then 2015, 2016, they did it again and took another 5% off the battery. And then again, with the latest 2 years stuff that's been going on, what they did is when people were turning their phone and Wi-Fi and all that off, they done something with it. They did an update that made sure the phones would be able to connect through AirDrop, right? And show who was close to who at such time. They because they never used that government app. It was never used once. It was all through the phones and the tower pings. That's how they tracked and traced people. Yeah, but it's just crazy stuff what they can do without us knowing. And I get frustrated when I hear all this stuff about TikTok, how TikTok's, you know, your data and all this stuff. And the Chinese government has actually been taken off the New York Stock Exchange with all of their stuff that they trade because of some legislation Trump signed as he left in 2020, saying that they have to have the auditors come in to verify that, you know, the stocks are worth what they say they are, and they said they can't because of national security. So it's going to get more crazy soon with the phones, and it's so frustrating with the iPhone. You can't pull the battery out. That is so frustrating. It's one of the things that annoys me the most. Hi Ashley, how you going, love? You've got some really great content going lately too. Bless you.
Have you ever tried to replace the screen on one of these?
Oh yes.
Yourself?
I have on the older phones on a 4, 5, and 6, but the 6 got really bendy and was really, you know, hard. And then actually the 10s and the XRs are the easiest to change. They are.
I had an S that I tried to change the screen on and got it changed. It just was so jeeky after that.
What happens? Sorry to,
so it didn't line up right.
What happens is the components actually have to be reprogrammed to the device. So if you put a new screen on, or a new home button, or a new speaker, or a new battery port, if you don't have a little device and reprogram it to the old code that was in it, so you plugged it in, you get the old code, and then you put the new one in, and you get the code, and you put it in on the new one. If you don't do that, it won't function fully, and then you'll keep getting these little pop-up messages saying that it's not compatible, you need to contact an iPhone dealer, or it's not a genuine product, all that kind of stuff. But
but leading up to me getting this, I get up one morning and I look at my phone and there's a message that says no SIM card. And I'm like, what do you mean no SIM card? So I just close that and I go to text Kathy something and it won't go through. And I'm like, I look up, I have no cell signal. And so I try to do that text again, it won't go through. So I just try to call Alex right there in her bedroom down the hall. It won't make a phone call. It puts a message up and says that line's no longer available. Do you want to use an alternative line?
Oh.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it won't work. It won't do anything. I can't
Are
make a call.
you using Wi-Fi? Sorry to interrupt. Are you using Wi-Fi calling?
No, no. And then all of a sudden, it stopped doing that, and it was working again. It was fine. Cell signal came back. Could send text, get phone calls, all that. So I go up, take it up to the Verizon store, and I tell them what's going on. And they're like, do what? And we tried it a couple of times, phone numbers, and it brought that message up. Sorry, line not available. Oh, what the fuck is this? So we tried dial the number. It would call it. But if you go into the recent calls and hit any number, it wouldn't call it. Put that same message up saying not available. And so I was like, I get what's my upgrade? And they said, yeah, you're doing upgrade. So I got a new phone. And I was like, yeah, government messing with me. They're
So that's the problem. Like the elite go on about waste and rubbish in the world and how much we consume and that, we have to stop consuming and making so much rubbish. But big corporations like Apple and all the oil companies and all that are the biggest polluters out there, and they're
But
not
they're
held
doing it for the
accountable.
greater good. They're doing it for the greater good.
What about them flying their jets everywhere? And what they're trying to do now is they've basically stopped all production of cars, right? And the cars that they make will be electric. And what they're trying to do here in Australia, in Canberra, by 2025, they want to have everyone in Canberra owning electric vehicles. There will be no like petrol or diesel or gas registrations allowed in Canberra. They don't even have charge ports. They don't even have the capacity for the power to generate it and all this other stuff. And they're doing that. And then to top it off, they're trying to bring in ride share where you don't actually own the car because of the cost of the cars. They're going to be so expensive with the batteries. You've got to replace them every 6 years. And they're like 30,000 here to replace the batteries. So they're going to bring in like a ride share where you share the car. You don't own the car. And like you're in a group. And if these people want the car, you have to give it up. And it'll be running off the social credit system. And you won't be able to do anything about it.
Right. That's part of that cyclical economy. Once that car's done, they take it and turn it into a lawnmower or something.
Washing machine or a fridge. Yeah.
That's their whole idea for this.
Well, in China, right, their cars are only allowed, I think it's like up to 3 years to be registered on the road. After 3-year-old, they have to be scrapped. They're not allowed on the road. And
they probably don't last much longer than that.
And they can have vehicles up to 15-year-old, but if they have vehicles that are up to 15-year-old, they have to have like a mechanical checkup every 3 months to make sure that they're not polluting smoke, that they're not using too much oil and all that kind of stuff. And if they are, they get put off the road. And then the fees to register it are really expensive. So for the Chinese to own cars, it's actually cheaper for them to keep buying new cars because once the car gets 3-year-old, 4-year-old, the cost to register the car on the road, the taxes are so high.
They just bake it in the cake that you don't have a choice. You'd rather buy a new one than pay for that.
And then to top it off over there, right, the roads aren't like our roads. The roads over there, you have to actually pay when you want to use such a highway, you have to pay to use it like toll roads everywhere. And there's no roads that don't have these tolls on them. Every road in China has these tolls.
Right. And how much longer will it be till you guys are almost mirroring China?
Oh man, we're copying it, but the problem they got is the distances in Australia, right, for electrical.
Yeah.
And then like the power output, they want to build more power stations, right? Excuse me, I got a bit of indigestion, sorry. But the power stations, what they want to do is build more power stations like that one I showed you in that video. It basically has hardly any emissions. It's one of the cleanest power. There's no coal ash that goes up into the sky or anything. It's got filters on the exhaust and all that. There's no real pollution from them. It's just hydrocarbons that you can't see is the pollutions that come out. They want to build more of them, but the World Economic Forum and the other places won't let them. And yet, China and India are building like 150 power stations within the next couple of years.
We're closing them. They're building them.
Yeah, that's it. Like we're going to end up third world countries and they're going to end up like us. That's what's happening. And then, and then get this. China's real estate depends on us with our investments through the government as well as superannuation. And at the moment,
I watched the deal on that on Chinese real estate. Have you seen that video?
Yes.
Everybody buys real estate, and it's just empty buildings.
Yeah.
But if you own an apartment, you're worth something. You're somebody.
Yep. And they're not even furnished when they're built. They're just a shell.
Aren't even finished out with plumbing or anything. They just say, man, I own real estate.
You got to pay a 35% deposit before it's even built, right, on the plan. They just buy it off the plan. They don't even see the finished product. And what's happening is they then get the money from the bank to cover the rest of it, and then they wait for it to be built, and then once it's built they moved in, right? But what's happening is the building companies like Evergreen and all that, what they did is they used the money from the build that they got now as collateral to build another one, and then they
Right.
go and trick more and more people, and it's like a huge Ponzi scheme. It's all it is a Ponzi scheme. And now people have turned around and said, no, we're not paying the mortgages. But what happens over there is if you don't pay your mortgage, it affects your children and your grandchildren. It goes 3 generations if you don't pay your mortgage. Yeah, you can't just go bankrupt. You know, like here, you can go bankrupt and all your debts are forgiven, and then every 7 years, all the debts are forgiven here in Australia. It doesn't matter if you run up a huge phone bill, a power bill, unless it's a government debt, like a government debt never gets wiped, even if you go and do jail time for it. It never
Really?
gets wiped. Yeah, it never gets wiped. No matter what happens, you have to pay that debt. But if it's a debt with the bank or a phone company or a power
So if
company,
you can avoid them for 7 years, it's gone.
yes, it's wiped every 7 years, and that comes from the Bible. Yeah, in the Bible it says that, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah, every 7 years you're supposed to get together, rest the fields, everybody equal things up, spread it out, make sure it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Start over.
yeah. And then to top China off with China's situation, right? India is actually on the verge of going like Sri Lanka.
Right.
There's 5 states in India, and what they've been doing is the government changed their pension scheme and basically paid out people earlier. I think it was like 55. They could get the pension, and instead of getting 20,000 a month, they would get 30,000 a month. I'll be in soon, Troy. They'll get 30,000 a month or something like that. So they'll get more money, and there's more people applying for it. And then they turned around. There's that cat, Troy. And then they turned around and offered gas subsidies to people that could afford their own gas, but the government gave them these gas subsidies. So there's 5 states in India that are on the verge of bankruptcy and are going to end up like Sri Lanka. They have no money, no GDP sort of stuff, and no money to pay the workers, the government, federal. No, Sophie's out there. Federal government workers. That's Sophie, Troy. We got a cat that looks exactly like our cat. It's a pain in the ass. We get confused all the time. Yeah, so it's and the thing I've been questioning is how is China going to come out of these zero policy like New Zealand? The only way that those 2 countries are going to be able to come out of it, because the population is already starting to respond. She's gone over this side.
They've already hit the no-go zone.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
They're already there.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is the only way they will get out of it is a war. They'll trick the Chinese people and say we're at war. You have to get up and support your country. But then I saw another video where I think it was like 75% of the army don't want to be in the army, don't believe in the CCP policies or anything like that, that they're only doing it because if they don't, they'll get their head chopped off.
Right. And like you say, in China, all they'll do is put out the propaganda and knock off 10, 20 million and go, hey, good job, we won. Way to go, guys. Way to go.
Yeah, and so many have died. And I saw another video about the amount of people that have died. And same as India, they're having all these open cremations, and they're free. That it's not costing the people any money. The government's paying for it. And the bloke said normally they have 10 a day, and they'll be having 200 to 400 a day.
Right.
So.
But think about the numbers alone. China, how many do they have now? A billion? Over a billion.
I don't believe that. No.
India is supposed to have over a billion. And so if them and China and Russia come against us, what are we going to do? Because they can do like the old war tactic from Shenzhou. Is one of their tactics is just march 1 million unarmed soldiers in and make them, feed them, and house them.
But the
Just
US government said that
make 'em
there's
feed
no. Yeah, the US government said that there's no way the Indian government would be able to feed an army, I mean, a Chinese government. Sorry, I'm getting confused because I was reading Ashley's question. There's no way they'll be able to feed an army that size with logistics and all that. Yeah, I'm talking about India, Sri Lanka, and China, Ashley, because the three of them are quite connected with trade, and Australia has a lot to do with them in trade wise with the GDP. Also, I've seen they're going to import Australian coal, but they're not going to import as much coal. And 5 steel plants shut down the other week, and they are the major steel factories.
Right.
So,
Get some cheap Chinese steel.
yeah, but Australia ships a lot of iron ore to China. 35 or 36% of Australia's GDP comes from China.
Right.
So we're screwed, literally, like people don't see it and they think everything's rosy. You're going to be able to go to the supermarket and keep buying your stuff at the supermarket, and you're going to be able to go to the shops and buy what you want. You're going to get what you want online. It's not going to keep going like this. It's going to change very fast, and you're going to wake up one day and just see, bombs exploding everywhere and all that. They're saying that
they're going to do that. I don't know that it's going to be a war like that. They've got control over us. Otherwise, you don't have to shed blood. You can just.
It's all just. Yeah, you're correct on that. It's all political theater. See, they'll never really blow up China or North Korea because of all the precious metals there.
Right.
They need those metals to make the computer stuff and that industry of the tech. They need those metals. So they won't really blow them up, but it'll all be theater. Do you know what I mean? Like what's happening with Ukraine and Russia at the moment. Them running around filming stuff and saying cut and then doing it again. But apparently the Ukrainians had wired the power plant there, which is one of the biggest ones in Europe, with TNT all over it, and have a Bitcoin mining machine going, and they're using power from one of the generators straight to this computer setup where they're holding the Swiss government at large and basically saying, you try and stop this operation, we're going to blow the power plant up. And of course then there'll be a radioactive fallout all over Europe.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what's being said at the moment.
But they they're so good at the propaganda now. And
yeah,
that now, what do you believe what you see on TV? If you've not watched any TV lately, what the commercials especially, I'm starting to believe that most of the commercials are CGI. There's no actors in them. If you'll just look at those closely, those people are pretty generic. Everybody's pretty generic in them. And it's just, I think there's so much out there that's not real we're seeing. We're just getting so used to it. Oh, it's the new TVs. They're so clear. They're so, like Elon Musk said, it looks so real that, or it looks fake because it's real, type of thing. And I think we're just so tuned in now that if you're not awake, you're going right down the rabbit hole. You're sold. You're good.
It's like that one with the British River, the Thames apparently drying up, right? It's not, they're blaming human climate change for it. It's not humans that do it. It's a natural cycle. It's happened 6 times in the last 300 years. It happened in 1880 something. It happened in 1820. It happened in 1772. It happened in 1730s, and it happened again in the 1500s. And it's a cycle that happens quite regularly. It's not, like thing. And then they were going on about the Great Barrier Reef, how the Great Barrier Reef is at its best in the last 30 years, saying that
it was dying. That's all I ever heard my whole life, that the Great Barrier Reef was dying.
But no, it's all good now. It's respawning and it's doing great. And it's all just propaganda and lobbying so they can get money diverted into these places so they can funnel that money off with corruption, like.
Wow.
And like with what Ashley was saying about the AI, I've looked into it a lot. In Australia, we got a quantum computer in 2018. Off Grid John told me about it, and I looked into it. And this quantum computer, when they hooked it up with all the social services, the tax, the Medicare, any government department. It was all hooked up, and now they're bringing in the digital identity. Well, the digital identity is worldwide, and the policy of the digital identity is exactly the same in several countries all over the world. It's just exactly the same. You want to do something, you'll have to prove your identity on the phone through QR codes and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, the other day, but speaking of AI, the other day I was watching a live stream of Crow 777, and they were talking about AI and stuff, and they were getting deep. They were talking, boy, some good stuff about it, and bam, YouTube took it down right in the middle of the live stream.
Yep. Because
I'm going to make a disclaimer. I got to make a disclaimer that these are just the opinions of people on this channel. These are not facts, or we're not saying this is truth. We're just speculating.
That's right. It's not true. It hasn't been fact checked. It's not true. If you want to fact check it yourself, fact check it. We're just discussing what has been printed in the media and on the news.
Exactly.
Take it with a grain of salt,
Exactly. We're not experts in the fields.
No, far from it. But so much is going. Yeah, no, you're right. So much is going on. I don't watch TV, but Dad does, and I sit down and watch a bit with him, and I just shake my head, and he doesn't want to be here anymore, and I can understand why. When I look back, I said to him the other day, I said, "Is this what you expected when you were growing up, Dad? Did you expect the family unit to be broken up, and for so sort of style police in the country and all that kind of stuff?" And he said, "No, I thought everyone would be working apprenticeships, doing their apprenticeships with the rail like I did." He thought he'd be working on the rail all his life.
He thought it would never end, just perpetual forever.
Yeah, that's what he thought.
That's what he was told.
Yeah. And, when you started back then, like Dad said, you had a job, you stuck with it for life. You didn't change every couple of years like these people do. They do a couple of years and go, "Oh, no, I don't like that one, and I'll get a new job," And Dad never did any of that, Right.
And on that note, this goes hand in hand with it. A guy was talking, I watched the video, and he was talking about how up through the 60s and 70s, during the daytime, most of the commercials were for tech institutes. Go learn truck welding, things like that.
Yeah.
Or for job training. And then in the 80s, it switched over to all this product placement.
Bring my wheelchair.
Housewife stuff and selling people stuff during the day instead of giving people information about, hey, you're home. We know you ain't got a job. Here.
And it had all those shit daytime TV soapy series on, with promiscuous behavior and all that kind of stuff.
All the fantasy world stuff about meeting a rich doctor and being his mistress.
Yeah.
Just sickening. And so, like in our lifetime, I've said it before, I'll say again, I can't think of another time I'd rather be alive than now. Other than Jesus' time, and walk with him. That's about all I can think.
Isn't it amazing time to be alive to witness what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, we can see what's happening, and I can see like the AI, like they're using AI in court cases now to judge criminals on what jail time they do and everything, and they're using AI for opinions. It's the AI has run all the statistics for the last few years. Right. And I reckon what's going to happen is in like Terminator, the AI will eventually turn around and say, we have to take over because you're a danger to yourself.
Right. That's always been the thought process, hasn't it? That eventually, if the AI just does the numbers and takes out all emotion and everything else, that it'll come to a conclusion that, wait a minute, you guys are the problem.
Yep.
You're the problem. I've done the numbers. I've done it all. You're the problem.
Yep. Yep. And it's going to take humanity out, you know, and bring the population numbers down. They'll get rid of the elite, you know.
See, I think it'll happen I think it'll happen, but I think it's going to happen in a different way. I think AI is going to try and do a slow modification of us to get us in line where we're not a problem, and then it's going to get where it's going to go.
Yeah,
transhumanism,
but it'll be like within 5 to 10 years there'll be leaps. Do you know what I mean? Like, so every 5, 10 to 10 years there'll be a major change, but you know, it'll be so subtle people won't even notice because they'll be so distracted. You know, now they've got VR headsets that are like a contact lens, and you put it on your eye, and it's like you're in your VR setup on your eye, and you can walk around. And they were saying to turn it on and off, you just pinch in between your thumb and your index finger, and then on the other hand, to scroll, you just hit the other hand, you know.
Wow.
And this is all what's written in the thing. I'm going to make a video about that one because that one's only new. It's only come out the last sort of few months.
Well, have you seen in South Korea that Days of Noah video had it, that they're making that wave wear, that it's clothing that when you're in virtual reality, it is, you know, you're like a green screen for it.
Yeah.
It has the senses in it. You know, you feel sensation, you feel stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You'll feel pain and all that kind of stuff. And then some say if you die in the VR world, what will happen is those suits will kill you in the real world. That's what they say.
Wow. Maybe someday, but I don't think we have that yet. But it's like on Crow, they were talking about that the top people's plan is that, hey, AI can do everything for us, and say, for instance, a cold sore. It'll calculate all the things ever used to cure cold sores, and it should come up with an answer. Here's what'll work. You know, whether it's heart disease or whatever, that eventually AI is supposed to just do that calculation and go right here. Here's the answer.
What it's also going to do is when a child is born, it's going to look at the genetics of the child and
make a determination. Yeah,
and
make a determination.
This child has such a percentage chance of developing this disease, and this disease, it'll be easier and cheaper to terminate the child now. And that's what they've done.
Put an implant in them. Put an implant in them right now, and they'll have a chance.
Yeah, and what they'll do is, I can see it coming. You know what I mean? They'll just terminate children that are Downs or disability. You know, you break your back and you can't contribute to society. They'll just euthanize you. And all over the world, the last 2 years, they have been quietly pushing through these euthanasia laws. And even in Netherlands, children as young as 12 can now, seek euthanasia without parents' permission. That's wrong.
Right. Well, one of the craziest things they were talking about, on Crow, was that we are turning over these decisions to AI in hopes that that's what it's doing. It's making the best choices for us.
Yeah. They reckon because we
can only make choices, but it can only make choices on the data that's put in. Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's why there's so much free stuff at the moment, and they worry about TikTok and YouTube with all the data mining that's going on. They're building up dossiers on us every minute of the day that we're online. That's why it's all free at the moment, because we are the product.
Right. No, we're the product.
Yeah.
Well, like this phone, it surprised me. It didn't prompt me to do a facial recognition passcode.
Yeah, see, I don't use that.
I was surprised. Yeah, I don't either. But I was surprised that it didn't even ask.
Yeah, see, in the last update, what they
Unless
said...
it already did it.
It might already have it, but in the last update here, it said that if you do have facial recognition on, what they will be doing is they'll be sharing it with the state, federal, and international police.
Of course.
They're
Of
sharing the biometrics of your facial recognition and your thumbprints. Like that's why I reckon they had the thumbprint scanner in it, is to get your prints.
Right.
You know, it's like here a couple of months back, they announced that a big hardware store, Bunnings, which is like your Home Depot, right, was
Right.
using AI in the store to track people to see if they were shoplifting. And the other store that's owned by the same company, which is owned by BlackRock, believe it or not, BlackRock.
Of course.
You know who BlackRock is.
I do.
Yeah.
Know who BlackRock is.
BlackRock owns the company, and BlackRock, for months and months and months, people were going into these stores. They were being tracked and traced, and had no idea that their data was being sold overseas. And then there was a little sign in the front door, like a tiny little sign that you wouldn't even see if you were looking for it. It was so hard to find. And then once people on social media started talking about it, they got legal problems. Like people started threatening to sue them. So they've taken it down. But I think it's still active, but they're just telling the public that it's not active, right? See, here in Brisbane, you get on a public train, right? The minute you get out of the car and park the car in the car park, you are tracked and traced. You go right into the city. Every step you take, the moment you get off the train in the city, is all traced. Everywhere you go in the city, they have cameras on you. There's nowhere you can go in Brisbane City that does not have facial recognition or anything like that. And I got banned from the Maya store 25 years ago. I got banned from the store. And I tried going into that store probably 10 years ago with my son. And I had security tap me on the shoulder. I was like not even in there for 5 minutes. I just walked in through the door, and they had the police there escorting me out, saying that they'll do me for trespass.
Right.
You know,
that's crazy. That's just crazy. Do you? I think it was in the early 90s when they first started showing us on TV shows and in movies, especially cop ones, where the guy would go in and go, "Hey, don't we have cameras over on First Street? Can you pull that up?" And they'd pull up a camera over on First Street and see a car go by. There he is. That's where he was at this time. Remember on TV shows, they started doing that.
Yeah.
Where they could pull up a couple of cameras and see, oh, yeah, that you were there at this time. And then it just got to where they could find you anywhere in any city, anytime.
Yeah, there's a show here in Australia that does that, and Doctor Who did that. I think all those shows are like programming to get us used to the idea of this is what's coming. We have no say in it. Like no matter what we say, do, or protest, it's happening whether we like it or not. You know.
Yeah, like I've always said, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do?
Oh, that's unreal, Fractional Dust Bear. It's like that entitlement of that generation, isn't it? These, you know, my son's 22 and he carries on like that too, mate.
Right. Hey, just give me a cigarette. Well, you know, these cost money. Just give me one. Well, you know, when did you ever give me one? Well, I don't have it. Because they're too expensive. I'll just take yours.
And you're right about the AI, Ashley, about being sick and that. You're so right. It won't tell you. You know.
Well, we're a little over an hour, Ella.
Thank you, B. I haven't seen you for a while, mate.
It was so good talking to you again.
Yeah, it's great. Like, Dad's gone to bed early. He's not feeling well. His colour's off. So if you could keep that in your prayers, I'd appreciate that for Dennis. Just, yeah, he's not doing too well. He's stressed out. And my daughter rode her car off and she got it back today. Oh, yesterday she got it back. Not today. But there's something wrong. I think Dad thinks that the gearbox box might have been damaged, that it might have like shatters through it, like it's cracked. Because when she goes into fifth gear and puts the clutch out, the flywheel's doing something that it shouldn't be doing. Because she was going to come down, but she can't now because of the car. And Dad just got upset over that, and he just went to bed early. So, yeah. She was lucky she didn't get hurt and the car wasn't majorly damaged. You know, I've been praying, 2 days before that accident happened, I had said to Dad and my neighbor, I said that she's going to be in an accident and this is what's going to happen. And guess what? 2 days later, it happens.
Wow.
you know, and it's that dream. I'd been having that dream for some time. It wouldn't go away.
Hey, I completely believe you're one of those people that you're tuned in enough that you're getting the frequencies, you're getting the vibrations. Just will you listen?
Yes, yeah, I do, yeah. That's why I don't want to cut my hair, because they say when you cut your hair, you cut your connection with God. You know.
Women aren't supposed to.
Pardon?
I said, yeah, from what I understand, women should cut their hair and they should keep it covered because the angels think they're so beautiful.
Yeah, I keep my hair covered all the time with a hat or, you know, a beanie or something. It's always covered. It's always put up out of the way and covered. I never have it out because it's too long. It's down past my hips and it just gets everywhere. And it's frustrating, but I love it. I love having it so long, and I'm just in tune with nature, everything, you know, the family, the animals. Like, the animals look at me, they know what they want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just know, and I get it straight away, and they're like, "Yep, cool."
Right, and you can sense it. Your animals, you can sense it through them. Their comfort level with you, they get it.
Oh yeah, and like they know Dad's not well, so the dog's been sleeping out by Dad's bedroom door. And I said to Dad, I said, it's because he knows you're not well. And animals can smell blood changes in your blood and hormonal changes. They pick up on that stuff and we can't. So I say the dog knows something that we don't know. He can't tell us, but he's watching over you, you know. Like when he had the fall the other day, the dog was there straight away, you know, comforting him, trying to calm him down to help him up, but the dog couldn't get him up.
Right. Yesterday, Kathy stayed home. She wasn't feeling good, and Seven laid right by her all day.
Really?
Yep. She wouldn't leave her side.
Oh.
I tried to get her to go outside to go to the bathroom. She didn't want to go. She just laid right there by Kathy.
And there was a big CME the other day too. And my cat, the eldest one, the last 4 days doesn't even want to go outside of the toilet. We've got to throw her out to go to the toilet, and then she comes straight back in. Normally, we have troubles getting her in.
Right. All right. Okay, babe. Let's tell everybody, God bless you, good vibrations and good discernment.
Amen, brother. Amen. Thank you. Say hi to Ashley, Fractal Dust, QB. And Edna, great to see you, Edna. Haven't seen you all for a while, Orion. Yeah, it's just been looking after Dad and been spending time with Dad. I miss Dad, and this is the most time I've ever spent with my dad, and I love it. So
right. You take up every minute. It's all you got.
Yeah.
You know.
And my boy's about to start his apprenticeship soon too, in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
So,
nice. Maybe he'll have a future.
Oh, yeah, I hope so, but, you know, what can we do?
What can we do? All right, love you. Take care.
All right, God bless. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.